Good afternoon. I will call this planning, programming, and zoning meeting to order. First up, I will need an approval of the August 12th, 2025 agenda. Please note we could combine items C1 and D1.
I have a question.
Okay.
Are we going to be discussing B2, or are we offering to table that?
B2?
No, B1.
B1.
We're going to be discussing it. Staff is recommending that you, at the end, table it, but we're going to be discussing it. The
Okay.
applicant will have an opportunity to talk.
Okay, so I move to approve, this is do not, I move to approve the agenda as recommended with the amendments of combining items C1 and D1.
Second, Shirk.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next up, when somebody's comfortable with going over the minutes here and they feel they're right, go ahead and make a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting on July 8th.
This is Commissioner Schaefer with a motion to approve the minutes from July. Second?
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. At this time, we'll allow people to come up and speak on any non-agenda items. I think we know most people are here for a particular item, but if there's anything that's a non-agenda item, you may come up to the podium, state your name, and speak on it. Is there anybody on Zoom that would like to speak on a non-agenda item?
I'd like to speak.
For a non-agenda item? Okay.
Okay, come on up and state your name and address.
Mike Henning, 138 Side Hill Drive, Waterloo, Iowa. It's an on-agenda item. I'd like to have a couple questions for planning and zoning. Relates to Paradise Estates, which is a totally different development than I think is on the agenda tonight. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Just would like to appreciate an update from planning and zoning, or you can tell me who the right people are. But on November 9th of 2023, the Waterloo Courier article said that dozens of new homes are expected to be built this spring in southern Waterloo to the benefit of area employees and families with children in a nearby elementary school, which is Orange Elementary. Shareholders came together. There's a whole group of people. There's pictures of them out in Paradise Estates. There was nobody from the school or nobody from the neighborhood there, but it was a big party. Said shareholders came together on the paved drive to celebrate what's called Waterloo's largest housing project in at least 20 years. Ground was broken on the first of 64 homes and expected to be 250 lots as part of the first edition. First edition is 64 lots. And work technically began in September, and water, sewer lines, storm stuff was all put in the ground. Stop out and take a look. It's a great neighborhood. We expect dozens of houses to be started by the spring of 2024. As of to date, there's been 6 houses started. About one of them, as far as I know, has been completed. It started being open houses for it. It was started in April of this year for the first house. The first ones were supposed to be a year ago. It's still not sold. The whole place generally looks like a weed yard, 130 acres of weeds. How do we get an update on what's the status?
Eric Schrader, city planner. I'm aware that the project is moving forward a little slower than it was originally anticipated.
A little slower?
I am not aware of the details as to why or what any sort of new timeline is. So I can reach out to Noel Anderson, the Director of Community Planning and Development, and maybe we can reach out to the developer and see if we can get some sort of update that we can pass along to the neighborhood.
Okay, so that's what'll happen. You'll get a hold of Noel. We'll get an update from Corey. Wonderful, because it does look like a weed patch.
We'll see what we can do.
Thank you. Is there anybody else in the chambers that would like to speak on a non-agenda item? All right, we'll go ahead and get into new business here. First up, we've got an encroachment agreement here, a request by Brent Bolin for an encroachment agreement to allow for patio, pergola, and fence in the city-owned alley right-of-way in the R1, 1 and 2 family residence district located at 130 Columbia Circle. This is a hearing item here, right?
No, it's not a hearing.
Okay. So then we go right into the staff report.
This is Tamala with staff. The applicant is requesting the approval of an encroachment agreement to allow for a patio, pergola, and fence partially within the city-owned alley right-of-way. The request does not appear to have a negative impact on the surrounding neighborhood or land use. The request does not appear to have a negative impact on pedestrian or traffic conditions in the area, as the encroachment area is in the rear of the site in question. The lot in question is zoned R1, 1 and 2 family residence district, and has been zoned as such since the adoption of the zoning code in 1969. Surrounding land use and their zoning are as follows: north, east, south, and west. Residential development zoned R1, 1 and 2 family residence district. The adjacent surrounding properties are residential that were developed as early as 1919 through the 1940s. No portion of the lot in question is located within a special flood hazard area. There is a 6-inch water main running along Columbia Circle. There are no easements on the site in question. The future land use map designates this area as low-density residential. The request is in conformance with the future land use map. The patio and fence already exist in the rear yard of the site in question and extend partially into the alley right-of-way. The patio and fence were built into the city-owned alley right-of-way by a previous owner. The applicant, the current homeowner, was not aware that they were partially built into the alley right-of-way when they tried to acquire a permit to place a pergola on top of it. The applicant plans to build a 12 by 16 foot pergola on top of the existing patio and is requesting an encroachment agreement to do so, since it will be partially in the city-owned alley right-of-way. The request will not obstruct any easements because there are none on the site in question. The alley was platted along the rear property lines of all homes in that block, and there's no developed alley for most of the block, and it is just grass. There's a city-owned parcel on the inside of the alley designated as a neighborhood park. There are no known utilities within the alley. There are several other properties within the block with similar encroachments into the alley. Most notably is a garage at 517 Campbell Avenue, as well as fencing of several properties. Therefore, staff recommends that the request by Brent Bolin for an encroachment agreement to allow a patio, pergola, and fence in the city-owned alley right-of-way in the R1, 1 and 2 family residence district located at 130 Columbia Circle be approved for the following reasons. The request would not appear to have a negative impact on the surrounding area. The request would not appear to have a negative impact on the pedestrian or traffic conditions in the area, and subject to the following conditions: a signed and executed encroachment agreement. Any questions for staff?
This is do not. Can I ask a dumb question? What's a pergola? What's a pergola?
This is Tamala with staff. It's
There's some
Kinda like-
pictures in our package.
Shaded.
there should be a picture in the packet, but it's kind of a shaded, covered, not enclosed,
Call
but
it a gazebo.
kind of a gazebo.
Okay. Well, I would have known what a gazebo was.
Do we got any other questions for staff? Is the applicant here? Are there any questions for the applicant? I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory here, so if there are no questions, I think we can entertain a motion on the agenda item.
This is Commissioner Shirk. I'll make a motion to approve the request by Brent Bolin for an encroachment agreement to allow a patio, pergola, and fence in the city-owned alley right-of-way in the R1, 1 and 2 Family Residence District located at 130 Columbia Circle. And with the following conditions, a signed and executed encroachment agreement.
Second, do not.
All right, we got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor of approving the agenda item signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next up, we've got a vacate request by Waterfall Plaza LLC for the vacate of Cedar Street from West Park Avenue to West 4th Street in the C3 Central Business District located adjacent to 10 West 4th Street. Staff report? Yeah, staff report.
This is Tamalo with staff. The applicant is requesting to vacate Cedar Street from West Park Avenue to West 4th Street. The request to vacate Cedar Street could appear to have a negative impact on the surrounding neighborhood or land use, as there is no development agreement in place or fully described redevelopment plan of why the vacate should be processed or should proceed. The request could appear to have a negative impact on vehicular or pedestrian traffic movements in the area, as Cedar Street is not considered a bike trail, but does make a pedestrian connection. The flood wall is abutting the Cedar River here, so Cedar Street works as a connecting point of the riverfront's Renaissance's Riverwalk Loop. There is a sidewalk along the street in question on the northeasterly side next to 10 West 4th Street. There are portions of sidewalk on the southwest side, but does not go all the way through. A pedestrian connection between West Park Avenue and West 4th Street should be maintained. The area of the proposed vacate is in the C3 Central Business District. Surrounding land uses and their zoning designation are as follows. Northeast, south, and west zone C3 Central Business District with the historic former Courier Building to the south and historic YMCA/River Plaza Building to the north. The adjacent buildings have been around since the 1930s, and the larger metal warehouse to the south is set to be removed as a part of the 70-unit development planned for buildings to the south, former Courier. Vacation of Cedar Street would not appear to have a negative effect on drainage, with easements maintained for existing infrastructure. The vacate area is located within the X protected by levee flood zone according to the 2024 FEMA floodplain maps. The nearest open spaces are Marks Park located 500 feet to the northwest, and Veterans Memorial Hall and Soldiers/Sailors Park located 500 feet to the southeast, and Pioneer Park located 0.4 miles to the southeast. There is a 10-inch wide water main and a 15-foot wide sanitary easement that cuts into Cedar Street. There is storm sewer and sanitary sewer in portions of the vacate area, and an easement would need to be retained. The future land use map designates the property as commercial. This request is in conformance with the future land use map. The request is to vacate Cedar Street from West Park Avenue to West 4th Street in the C3 Central Business District, located adjacent to 10 West 4th Street. Vacating the street could have a negative impact depending on its proposed usage. Planning is trying to determine the usage of Cedar Street and would also like to have a development agreement in place before vacating Cedar Street. A pedestrian connection is needed from West Park Avenue to West 4th Street, which could be along the southwesterly side of the road if the sidewalk were extended to West 4th Street. The sidewalk area would either need to be excluded from the vacate or an easement retained. Additionally, the offer price does not meet the sale of property policy. That was before I got a chance to talk with the applicant. Downtown Waterloo is a typical grid pattern style with many historic buildings in place. The city has worked to vacate streets where it may make sense for a redevelopment project to enhance downtown Waterloo for new business, new residential, and new opportunistic type projects. The city is cautious to vacate any streets without a larger redevelopment plan and potential development agreement in place. Staff has not yet seen definitive plans or layouts for review for how the applicant would change the layout. provide the pedestrian connection, and potentially use the vacated area to benefit a new project in downtown Waterloo. Engineering stated that they do not support the vacate request and need more clarification from the applicant because of the existing storm, sewer, gas, and utility easement. Engineering mentioned that they still need access through Cedar Street to access the flood wall along the river. Even if it is vacated, an easement would need to be dedicated because of existing infrastructure and the need for access. Waterworks agrees with engineering as there is a water main in the requested vacate area. The fire department voiced that access would be an issue if Cedar Street is vacated. Therefore, staff recommends that the request by Waterfall Plaza LLC for the vacate of Cedar Street from West Park Avenue to West 4th Street in the C3 Central Business District located adjacent to 10 West 4th Street be tabled for the following reasons. The request could appear to have a negative impact on the surrounding area without having a definitive redevelopment plan, layout, and review in place. The request could appear to have a negative impact upon pedestrian and traffic conditions within the surrounding area, as this segment of Cedar Street works to complete the Riverwalk Loop from 1st to 18th Streets. Planning is looking into acquiring more information regarding the usage of Cedar Street and entering into a development agreement regarding usage and easements. The City of Waterloo is actively engaged with the development agreement for the block on the south side of Cedar Street, including the potential acquisition of land for further development. Any questions for staff?
No questions for staff. Is the applicant on Zoom?
I hope so. Can you guys hear me?
Yes. Could you state your name and address,
Okay.
please?
My name is Dan Alton. The address is 2707 Congress Street, San Diego, California.
Okay, thank you. Do you have any insight onto why there's a request here? What are the plans if this vacate were to go through?
Yes, no, I appreciate the opportunity of speaking with you. And let me get my apology out of the way first. It's two things. One, I've never done a Zoom before. This is my first time, believe it or not. And usually I like to kind of conduct these kind of things in person. So my apology for not being there at this time. I was scheduled to be in town next week. And unfortunately, this meeting is a little bit before that. So this property has been vacant or almost totally vacant since the last 6 years. I purchased the property in April. And since that time, I've been working on trying to stabilize just the building and the asset itself. The request for the vacate is made because of feedback and what I've observed on the property. There's not enough parking. The whole purpose of asking for the vacating is to be able to provide more parking for the property. Initially, when I inquired about doing the application for the vacating, there seemed to be two options available. One was to enter into a development agreement and then be able to acquire the property for next to nothing. And the other option was to be able to come to almost a pre-calculated purchase price and buy it in a cash format. At that time that I filled out and submitted the application, there was no knowledge that this committee and this meeting needed to have site plans or specific plans in mind in terms of what was going to be done apart from my presentation. So for that, if that's my error, I apologize, but all the information that I got in good faith was that any development agreement and or any specifics of what can be done to the property could be done even after the initial application to vacate was submitted. My plan for this parcel, if you will, including the sidewalk, is to just merely provide parking. It's an unbuildable lot, and so there's not going to be any building on top of it. The easements accrue with the sale, and I know at least one staff member indicated that they wanted to know whether I was going to go with diagonal or horizontal or box kind of parking. I'm not certain how relevant that is to the decision this commission can make about whether the vacating should go through or not. The property itself is a multi-use retail and office space. My agenda and goal with the property is to keep it in its current status. It's a historic building. I bought the building with that intent in mind, and that intent has not changed. So there's no major development plan in place for me to, I don't know, turn them into residential or put a boutique hotel or anything like that. The agenda that I have for the property is to be able to utilize its commercial space, both on retail and commercial, and provide parking. The parking also helps from a security perspective. The way that traffic flows at the moment, traffic meaning pedestrian traffic, they go right by the building on basically the north end of Cedar Street. And as recently as a few weeks ago, before I came back out of Waterloo, I forgot what event it was, but we had a number of walking pedestrians that came by and knocked the security camera off the wall. We've identified who the individual was, and I've been in contact with them. But the thought here would be that if the vacating was permitted, there'd be a sidewalk on the south side that would give pedestrians an opportunity to travel from from 4th Street all the way to Park Avenue. So one of the concerns that was brought up in the staff's recommendation is that there was no carry forward, and that would be the plan on the south side of the street. Quite honestly, my request of this commission is that this application be considered and voted on instead of being tabled. I don't understand the reason for the tabling, nor the benefit of it. I've made attempts to be able to contact staff to get an idea as to what the requirements are. And again, unless I've got it wrong, there were two options available, and I picked the option that did not require a development program or a development agreement to be in place. And my goal and agenda at the moment is simply to use that area for parking.
Thank you. Do any commissioners have questions for the applicant? All right. Is there anybody in the council chambers that would like to speak on this agenda item?
Dave Boson, City Council Liaison to your board. My only concern is that last Monday we spent $500,000 to buy 132 feet of land from that curb towards the Courier Building for future development. I'm concerned that this vacate could affect that future development.
All right. Thank you.
If I might, I guess the question I have, I'm sorry, if somebody could elaborate on that a little bit. What was that commentary, please?
Dave Boson, I'm the City Council Liaison to Planning and Zoning. Last Monday night, the City Council voted to spend a $500,000 to buy 132 feet of land from Cedar Street to the south for future development. My concern with that is that if we vacate this street, how's that going to affect that future development and our ability to market that parcel?
All right.
Mike Henning, 138 Side Hill Drive, Waterloo. Which building are you buying or looking at, sir? Are you
not a building.
The Courier Building? Are you looking at the old YMCA building? Or I'm just curious.
If I might clarify, it's not a building, sir. I already own the YMCA, the old YMCA. That building is mine. This vacating request is merely for Cedar Street and a sidewalk portion abutting Cedar Street on my property.
I think the city's responsibility to figure out parking and stuff like that on public streets, isn't it?
As of right now, it would be the city's job, more or less, to figure out how parking is handled on that city street. But if the street were to be vacated, it would then fall on the owner of that.
It would no longer be a public street.
It would no longer be a public street.
Yeah, that's a problem, as I see it. And you have a streets committee. Don't you still have a safe streets committee from years ago?
The
Seems
complete
that
streets?
street could, what do you call it?
Complete streets?
Complete streets, yeah. Couldn't it go to that committee for figuring out and working with this gentleman to?
That might be outside of the scope of what they do, because they tend to just make sure that there's different modes of travel available for citizens.
Well, you're looking at potentially blocking a piece of that, aren't you? Putting in a private parking lot?
Block it all.
What's that?
They're blocking it all between.
Yeah. That doesn't make sense to me at all to vacate that street. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Any further questions, comments? Oh, not questions, comments on this agenda item? All right, hearing none, then I will entertain a motion on this agenda item.
Straight with staff, I would just note staff was recommending tabling. The applicant has asked you to not table and to take action. That's up to the commission, but if the item is to not be tabled, then it would be the staff's recommendation for denial.
And I, when I say I entertain a motion on that, I'm not saying what to do. I'm not saying deny it. You could be tabled, it could be not tabled. This is up to us to come together and decide.
Should we discuss, or should one of us just propose a motion? If
A
we-
motion and a second will lead to
Okay.
discussion, yes.
Okay, so I would like to make a motion that the request by Waterfall Plaza LLC for the vacate of Cedar Street from West Park Avenue to West 4th Street in the C3 Central Business District located adjacent to 10 West 4th Street be denied for the following reasons. The request would appear to have a negative impact on the surrounding area without having a definitive redevelopment plan, layout, and review in place. The request could appear to have a negative impact upon pedestrian and traffic conditions within the surrounding area. As this segment of Cedar Street works to complete the river walk loop from 1st to 18th Streets, that's a tongue twister. Planning is looking into acquiring more information regarding the usage of Cedar Street and entering in, and there is no development agreement regarding usage and easements. The city of Waterloo is actively engaged with a development agreement for the block on the south side of Cedar Street, including the potential acquisition of land for further development.
I second that motion to deny.
There is a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
I have one question. I mean, we're kind of I feel like we're being forced into making a decision because he didn't want it tabled. And, I'm curious to force it into a plan so that we can see what it is. I mean, if he wants a motion to decline it or approve it, I guess that's his call, but I find that disappointing a little bit.
Could he reapply if it were denied with more plan and paperwork and have everything ready for a new motion?
This is Schrader with staff. The Planning Commission's action is just a recommendation, so depending on the outcome of this motion here, the applicant would still have the option of moving that on to the city council.
But could he come back to this body?
But he could come back to this body, or even if it goes all the way through and we're denied by city council, there is a 4-month waiting period, but then
I
you can
see.
reapply even that way too.
This is do not. And what you just described about the process could also be done with the tabling. But at this point, if we were voting right now, I'd vote against it. I'd vote to deny the motion.
Thank you.
Folks, if Chairman and committee, I'm sorry, I don't mean to be out of order, and if I'm not allowed to say anything, you can let me know, but I want to make certain that everyone's clear on the position that I'm at, because there hasn't been a lot of questions directed to me, and maybe the information I've given you isn't complete enough. The only reason that it seemed like I was asking for you guys to make a decision at this meeting is simply because of my understanding that even if this was approved, that there is subsequently to this meeting an opportunity for the tightening of, the understanding of whatever needs to be done for this vacating, including the adjustment of price. So if that understanding is wrong, meaning that this committee needs and wanted to and was expecting to see a site plan or a more definitive understanding as to what my agenda for the property is, then by all means, consider a tabling of it. Otherwise, I was under the impression this meeting was basically the first of many steps yet before the vacating of the property could take place.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion on this agenda item?
Just as a point of order, the applicant did note a openingness to the item being tabled, and a motion to table would supersede the motion
Or
that's
I could
currently
withdraw
on.
my motion.
A motion to table supersedes, so you wouldn't need to. but-
Okay, so is that something you'd like to do?
I can withdraw my motion.
Okay,
I withdraw my motion.
thank you. Would somebody then consider tabling the agenda item? Or,
Moving to table, you mean?
yeah,
I can agree to move to table. I would just say my concerns would still be valid according to what's outlined in the packet under the under the technical review committee, as outlined in the packet. So my concerns would still be present. Is what I'm trying to say. So
there's a motion. Is there a second?
Do we need to read the motion in its entirety regarding the tabling? Okay.
No.
I moved to table the item.
Okay, there's a
Scott
motion.
Boyd, second it.
There's a second. Any discussion? Hearing.
You have to abstain, just so you know, I was clarifying that.
Okay, we got one abstention. I don't think we're gonna need to roll call this one. All those in favor of tabling the agenda item signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries
And one abstention.
with the one abstention. Yep. Yeah, this commission's pretty lucky and fortunate. The staff usually have some pretty detailed site plans, so it's something that we usually rely on, and we like to make sure that we don't have any surprises. So, I mean, we are the planning commission, so
Would like to know what the plan is.
yeah, we like to know what the plan is. Next up, we've got a request by Midwest Development Company on behalf of the city of Waterloo to rezone approximately 24.27 acres from R1, 1 and 2 family residence district to R1 RP Plan Residence District to construct 70 homes located south of Orange Road and west of Kimball Avenue. And this is also combined with the preliminary plat of Highland Meadows Edition. Same location. Is
Need
this
to, yeah.
is this the one where we got a hearing?
Yep.
Okay, let me get that pulled up.
Yeah, you.
I'm gonna read it. The time is 4:32 p.m. and a hearing is scheduled at this time. At this time, we should receive and place on file a statement of verification signed by Alyssa Little stating, I, Alyssa Little, do hereby certify that a copy of the attached letter, aerial photo, and site plan was mailed to each individual on the attached list by regular mail on June 26, 2025. Could we have a motion to receive and place this notice on file?
So moved.
Sorry.
Second.
I'll double check, but I think that date might be in error, so it should have been a date in July that it was mailed.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we got a motion and a second. All those in favor of receiving and placing this notice on file signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Let's see, we got 6-0. Now we can go into the staff report.
This is Gowman with staff. As stated, this is a request by Midwest Development Company on behalf of the city of Waterloo to rezone approximately 24.27 acres from R1, 1 and 2 family residence district to R1 RP planned residence district to construct 70 homes located south of Orange Road and west of Kimball Avenue. The proposed rezone would not appear to have a negative impact on the surrounding neighborhood and land use. Although the lots are a little smaller than many in this area, they are very typical of newer subdivisions, including the new Paradise Estate subdivision being built around the new Orange School site just northeast of the proposed development. West Orange Road and Kimball Avenue, both of which are classified as collectors, serve the site in question, neither Kimball Avenue nor West Orange Road currently have sidewalks, although the preliminary plat is showing that sidewalks will be installed along the length of West Orange Road and Kimball Avenue that are along the portions of the proposed preliminary plat area. If existing homeowners would want further sidewalks on their property, that would be explored outside of this project. The proposed rezone area is currently zoned R1, 1 and 2 family residence district, and has been zoned as such since the adoption of the zoning ordinance in 1969. Surrounding land uses and their zoning designations are as follows. To the north is West Orange Road and residential, zoned R1, 1 and 2 family residence district. To the south is agricultural land and residences, zoned R1, 1 and 2 family residence district. To the east is residential, Kimball Avenue, agricultural lands, and a religious facility, zoned R1, 1 and 2 family residence district and A1 agricultural district. And to the west are residences and agricultural land, zoned R1, 1 and 2 family residence district. The surrounding residences were primarily built between 1910 and 1977, and the religious facility was built in 1913. No buffering or screening will be required, as the proposed residential development would be abutting existing residential development. A drainage and SWIP plan will need to be submitted as part of the platting process. Preliminary plat does show a proposed detention facility. The area is not in a special flood hazard area as established by the FEMA flood insurance rate map. Orange Elementary School is located 1,000 feet to the northeast. Orange was built with 2 public play areas and basketball courts. There are no other schools in the immediate vicinity, as this is the former Orange Elementary School site. Lichty Park is located approximately 1,300 feet to the northwest and is 11.5 acres. There are 8-inch sanitary sewer lines running in both West Orange Road and Kimball Avenue. There's a 12-inch water main line running along both Kimball Avenue and West Orange Road. There are overhead electrical lines running along the west side of Kimball Avenue and the north side of West Orange Road. The future land use map designates this area as low-density residential. This request is in conformance with the future land use map and comprehensive plan. The applicant is requesting to rezone approximately 24.27 acres of land from R1 to R1 RP. The zoning ordinance states that the RP district is intended to provide a means for the development of tracts of land on a unit basis, allowing greater flexibility and diversification of land uses and building locations than the conventional single lot method. It is the intent of this section that the basic principles of good land use planning be maintained and that sound zoning standards as set forth in this ordinance concerning population density, adequate light and air, recreation, open space, and building be preserved. The site in question was home to the former Orange School, which was opened in 1915. It closed after the 2012-2013 school year and was replaced by the new Orange Elementary School located to the northeast. The applicants are requesting to rezone and a separate preliminary plat to construct a 70-lot residential subdivision. The lots will have a range between 6,950 square feet, 0.16 acres, to 19,186 square feet, 0.44 acres. The average lot size is 10,815 square feet, which is a quarter of an acre. The base R1 district has a minimum lot size of 9,000 square feet. 53 of the 70 lots, 75%, are larger than 9,000 square feet. Rezoning to R1 RP district allows the applicant to situate the lots to fully utilize the land. The lots have a width that is a minimum of 55 feet at the setback distance. For comparison, the nearby Paradise Estates has the width ranging from 50 feet to 160 feet with the average of 90.5 feet. Paradise Estates also has an average lot size of 18,295 square feet, 0.42 acres, with their smaller lots being 10,454 square feet, 0.24 acres. The existing residential lots in the area range in size from 0.33 acres to 1.29 acres, with the average lot size being 0.58 acres. However, are primarily developed with ranch or split foyer home designs which typically require larger lot sizes and lot widths. According to the United States Census Bureau, 59% of new single-family houses completed in 2024 were on lots that are 8,999 square feet or less. This shows that having lots smaller than 9,000 square feet is not abnormal across the nation, and only 25% of the proposed lots on this development are smaller than 9,000 square feet. The applicants will have 5 tracts in addition to the 70 buildable lots. The applicant will be dedicating Tract A, 4.24 acres, to the city as public right-of-way for streets and sidewalks. The street right-of-way width is 60 feet wide. The sidewalks that will be built all along the streets, including the portions of West Orange Road and Kimball Avenue that border the area, will be 4 feet wide. Tracts B and C, 2.53 acres collectively, will be privately owned and maintained. They will be used for detention basins, for open space and stormwater management. Tract D, 0.02 acres, is anticipated to be deeded to the property owner at 155 West Orange Road. Tract E, 0.08 acres, is anticipated to be deeded to the property owner at 6114 Kimball Avenue. There is no commercial use planned for this site. Commercial uses are not allowed in the R1 RP district, so no commercial uses could go in the development. The zoning ordinance requires that the maximum number of dwelling units permitted in the RP district is determined by dividing the net development area by the minimum lot area of the zoning district the development is located in this case, the R1 district, and multiplying by 125%. For this development, the net area development is 20.03 acres. The maximum number of dwellings allowed would be 121 dwelling units. The proposed development is well under this maximum by only proposing to build 70 single-family homes. The preliminary plat shows that lots will be built to the setback requirements for the R1 district. Rezoning to the R1 RP district allows the applicant to situate the lots to fully utilize the land, the available street frontage. The flexibility with the R1 RP district allows the developer to offer a variety of lot sizes while ensuring the development is aesthetically pleasing and will blend in with the existing development in the area. In the technical review committee, the applicants asked some clarifying questions about the rezone and plat, but no concerns or comments were expressed by the city departments. Therefore, staff recommends that the request by Midwest Development Co. on behalf of the city of Waterloo to rezone approximately 24.27 acres from R1 1 and 2 Family Residence District to R1 RP Planned Residence District to construct 70 homes located south of Orange Road and west of Kimball Avenue be approved for the following reasons. 1, the request would not appear to have a negative impact on the surrounding area, as it would qualify as infill development by going on a site with existing infrastructure in place on the borders. 2, the request will create new infill lots in a developed part of the city, as this is a former school site. 3, the request is in conformance with the comprehensive plan and future land use map, which shows this area as low-density residential. 4, the request is in conformance with the 2030 vision plan, which emphasizes new housing opportunities and development in the city of Waterloo. Skokman's Homes has been a leading home builder in Waterloo for a number of years in terms of units being built at over $300,000 per home anticipated. This represents a $21 million plus investment in the community to work and help grow the tax base, add to the population, and grow Waterloo as a community in close proximity to a newer school for additional students as well, and subject to the following conditions: that the property be limited to single-family homes, and that the final site plan meet all applicable city codes, regulations, etc., including but not limited to parking, landscaping, drainage, etc.
Thank you. Were there any extra things you'd have to say on the plat request, or was it the same one?
There's one additional section for the plat that just goes over some specific things. So the preliminary plat document shows all the required items that we require for the preliminary plat, some including legal descriptions, existing topographic contours, property lines, building setback lines, date, north arrow scales, owners, sanitary sewer locations, water system locations, storm sewer locations, adjoining subdivisions, existing structures within the plat site of individual lots, right-of-way widths, street surfacing, street widths, street light locations, vegetation locations, grading plans, preliminary and street names. The proposed street names are Highland Meadows Drive, Willowbrook Way, Oak Hill Way, and Bridgewood Court. And that is the unique parts to the plat.
All right, thank you. Do any commissioners have questions for staff? All right. Is the applicant here? Could you please state your name and address for public record?
Yes, I'm Lauren Hoffman with Hall & Hall Engineers, 1860 Boyson Road, Hiawatha. I also have Jason Stone, who is the engineer of record for the project. I am a landscape architect and planner. So I just hit on a few things. Joseph, you did a great job hitting on a number of topics. I'll maybe just elaborate on a few and then have a few other talking points. First, give a traffic summary. Orange Road is classified as a major collector with an average annual daily traffic of 380 vehicles per day. Kimball is also a major collector with 830. So I don't know if I said this right. Orange Road was 380, Kimball 830. New traffic generated by this development expected to be minimal. The AM peak, this is during the peak hour, is 49 trips. The PM peak is 66, which would occur slightly before and after school. Orange Road and Kimball have excess capacity to handle site traffic of 2,800 vehicles per day for a stop sign control. More than 2,800 is when pavement widening and turn lanes would be added. And again, just kind of remind you, Kimball being the largest, having 830. So there's a fair amount of growth potential before any significant concerns for those two corridors. The new street intersection spacing exceeds the minimum 150. We have 300 and then 500. I just kind of summarize real quick on drainage. A year ago, we were just getting ready to come before you guys, and we felt that it was important for us to do our due diligence and make sure we had all the easements in place and negotiations with the downstream neighbors to make sure we could accommodate drainage. And so that, believe it or not, it's taken nearly a year to get those easements in place, but we do have easements secured to allow that to happen. We do have two stormwater management basins on the site, one in the north east corner and one in the south east corner. There's two primary drainage sheds on the parcel. The smaller of the two would be draining towards the northeast, and then the bulk of the remaining of the site would drain to the other larger basin in the south. On topic of soils, the city has completed a phase 1, phase 2 report to check on soil contaminations. They were submitted to the DNR for review. Basically a summary of that for soils and groundwater. No contamination detected above IDNR standard levels. Soil vapors, there were some detected, but concentrations were below EPA levels as far as needing to do any additional remediation. In summary, the detected contaminant concentrations represent minimal risk and should not inhibit redevelopment, and that no further investigation was recommended within those reports. Trees, For the most part, majority of the trees will be saved. In fact, after our neighborhood meeting last month, we did some additional revisions, so hearing the concerns, of not wanting to impact negatively the neighbors or the neighborhood. The basin in the north east corner, we did some modifications, shifted it away from Orange Road. We did lose one lot, but we were able to say there's a row of evergreen trees, I think 4 or 5 large evergreen trees along there, and then another deciduous tree. We're able to basically make that adjustment and have a nice little green space at that front corner, kind of the doorstep to the development. So we had a neighborhood meeting held on 7/23. Had a large turnout. Some of the key points of discussion at that meeting were traffic, concerns of speed along Kimball. During our staff meeting here last week, talking about the preliminary plat, City Traffic Department said they would be completing an evaluation of the conditions to determine if a traffic study is needed, and will be completed while school is in session, and factoring this development in as well. There was a question about when the latest data for the traffic information was obtained. We have since confirmed it was, for Kimball, it was last counted by the DOT in 2021, and for Orange Road, last counted in 2017. The DOT has recently completed counts in the past couple weeks, but the data is not yet available. Another topic was water pressure concerns. In talking with city staff, I understand that plans are completed and negotiations are underway for getting the proper land, or getting land for a pressure tank or system, booster pump. My understanding is that this booster pump is slated to be up and running in the fall of 2026, so likely before any of these homes would maybe have a few, if this passes here tonight, but less than a handful by that time. Phase 1, Phase 2 reports, there were some concerns about those. Just wanting some clarification on that at the neighborhood meeting. They were completed and were submitted to the DNR for review and additional direction from the DNR. And then concerns of asbestos from the school demo. The school had hired an asbestos abatement company, and report sent to the residents for review. It includes a DNR notification of abatement where material was removed, and details showing how much was removed and where it went. If any additional asbestos is encountered during construction, the city will work to have the material tested and abated as required by law. Outcomes of the meeting, the neighborhood meeting, minor things for the most part. There's a cemetery access road along the south of the property, downstream of the larger of the 2 detention basins. A neighbor had asked to incorporate curbing along the south side of that paved cemetery access to provide some additional protection to their property, and so that has been added to the preliminary plat. Like I said earlier, we reconfigured the stormwater management in the north, the basin in the northeast corner to preserve large trees along Orange Road. And we will be adding pollinator plantings, prairie areas, and strategic locations in the vicinity of the stormwater management areas. And that's a request of the neighbors. I'll just hit on a few other general planning topics, and then I'll turn it over. On zoning and land use, I personally have been doing this sort of development work for the last 2 decades plus. Kinds of topic we hear is folks in these settings, they've had their homes built years and years ago, and a new development comes up near them and the lots are sizably smaller. As Joseph had mentioned, the trends there's documentation that the trends over the last 50 years, the shift is driven for these smaller lots. There's a combination of factors, including lot shortages, affordability concerns, evolving customer preferences, and the impact of zoning regulations. Despite of shrinking lot sizes, the median size of new family homes has steadily increased over the last several decades. This has resulted in a rising building to lot size ratio increasing. In summary, the evaluations of the homes anticipated for this development will be in line or above that of the surrounding neighborhood. Based on other single-family residential projects we've helped design over the past 2 decades, we found that the new neighbors, in this case, this development, have not negatively impacted existing neighboring valuations. Years ago, I took training in LEED, which is LEED ND, which is Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design. The U.S. Green Building Council is a governing body that provides recommendation and encourages smart growth. So a little bit about LEED ND, and again, the ND stands for Neighborhood Development. LEED ND encourages sustainable, walkable neighborhoods, and particularly they promote or want you to look at infill development. Infill projects which build on previously developed land within existing city areas are the key focus of LEED ND. LEED ND recognizes the benefit of building within existing city areas, such as utilizing existing infrastructure, reducing sprawl, and revitalizing underutilized land. Infill development defined is it involves constructing on vacant or underutilized land within established city areas. This contrasts with greenfield development, which expands into undeveloped areas. LEED ND and infill incentives, basically this governing body awards points, so a point system, to projects that demonstrate sustainable practices, including building on infill sites. This can include points for location, which is proximity to existing infrastructure, public transportation, and amenities. Density, compact development that maximizes land use. Connectivity, creating walkable streets and interconnected pathways. Brownfield redevelopment, restoring contaminated land. Some of the benefits of infill development are reduced sprawl, efficient infrastructure. Again, just a reminder that we have sanitary sewer and water mains readily available at the doorstep of the project. Community revitalization, infill development can revitalize underutilized areas, bringing new life and economic activity in neighborhoods. And so with that, I turn it over for any questions. Hunter Skogman is here representing Midwest Development as well. So with that, I'll turn it back to you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Do any commissioners have questions for the applicant? I thank you for that insight. I actually have more questions for staff than anything. Primarily the water pressure is a big one. So it's no secret that the Orange neighborhood area has low water pressure, and I was wondering what kind of plans as a city do we have to remedy that and get ahead of the curve before 70 more homes are built in that vicinity?
You want that one, Noel?
Noel Anderson, Community Planning Development Director. So we have been in conversation with the Waterloo Waterworks. They have a firm under design to go ahead and add infrastructure out there for increased water pressure. And I believe they're looking to basically finalize the location of where that would be located and are moving ahead to put in that infrastructure.
All right. I,
They're looking at a couple of different locations to finalize out there, and then they'll move ahead very shortly. That would be up to Waterworks to share the information for their locations.
the date will be 26 is what I'm getting out of that. My other question for staff would be, can Orange Elementary handle a big influx of new students?
Noel Anderson, Community Planning Development Director. So the Waterloo Schools is a part of our technical review committee. In speaking with them over several sites, or former school sites and all that, they've never had any concerns with being able to meet the student population needs.
Okay, thank you. Are there anything else from commissioners? No? At this time, I will allow people in the council chambers to speak on this agenda item. We will limit comments to 5 minutes per speaker. If you do wish to speak on this item, please state your name and address for public record.
Barbara Henning, 138 Side Hill Drive. Just wanted to give you a brief timeline, and this is really brief. The reason this whole development started, as far as I understand, is because there was a church there, and there was lots of country schools, and they decided to build Orange School in about 1915. The church had been there a long time. Well, then in 1920, a bunch of the farmers in Orange Township were retiring, and they didn't want to move to Waterloo. They wanted to move by their church, and that's how most all those houses on Kimball were built. Then in 1964, the schools merged. Orange had its own school system. My house was built in 1966. I moved in 1979. The new school was built in 2012. And Paradise Acres was in 2023. It got started. I just had a few questions, and I guess the first question is for the city. And I want to know, because I did not get to that meeting, and I apologize. But were the neighbors given a chance to purchase adjoining land to add on to their properties? Because there's some jagged, I don't know, did anyone approach the city? Okay.
Nobody contacted me.
Okay, well, I think it would have been for the neighbors to contact the city, but I don't know.
Didn't know it was for sale. I'll give you $1.
So, but I think that might be a buffering of the neighborhood. But anyway, and I just did some math here. The Paradise Estates is 130 acres, and it's going to have 259 houses. And the school was 24 acres, but by the time the acres to build on are 20 acres, I live on 1 acre. And we love living on 1 acre. I know we've lived there 46 years, and a lot of these people have lived there a long time. So those are just some things I wanted to point out. I also wanted to point out, my children went to Orange School in the old Orange School. And I lived exactly 2 blocks away. But I really didn't want my kids walking to school, because you were walking on Kimball or you were walking on Orange, and either of those was not a good situation. I think that's all I have to say. I just wanted to give you guys some background where this was all coming from. We also live on the parent pickup street. Lichty is the parent pickup street. And I'm not sure how wonderful you're making these walkways so kids can walk to school. I think that's a really major issue. And I just want to point out that with all this influx of housing, my theory is, if I hear Skogman Home is building in Paradise Estates, so my little advertisement is, why don't we get some homes built over there first? Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else in the council chambers that would like to speak on this agenda item?
Corey Hodap, CJ's Construction, 2915 North Dubuque Street. I'm the developer of Paradise Estates. So a lot of these issues that I worked on with the Orange neighborhood for 2 years, because I've been on this project for 4 years, that I answered, like traffic relations, walkways, the school bus in and out. There was a huge issue with that. How are we going to address that? How are we going to resolve that? How is traffic going to leave our neighborhood, impact Kimball, and then Orange Road? All those things came up, and it was a big issue. Now we're throwing 70 more houses at it, which is more traffic. I understand, but the calcs all work out. I understand all that. The other issue was the water pressure out there. The water pressure has been an issue. We knew about it when we were coming, but we had to resolve or figure out what we were going to do to overcome that issue. So in the meantime, I've been working with the Waterworks Department, and we've come out with agreement on a piece of ground to try to increase the pressure, create a booster station. Whether or not it's going to go there or not, I don't know that, but that was part of the agreement I had with Orange County or Orange neighborhood. So I've done a lot of legwork trying to get this all in there. I paid premium dollar for my subdivision to come into that town or into that area. And it's kind of almost like I'm getting stabbed in the back, I feel. I understand the city's position because, you know, it's all about growth and all about getting housing for people out there. But it really impacts my subdivision when we have, 200 plus lots that are coming into the area. How to handle that, how to be able to weather the storm. I mean, right now is not the best time in the world to be selling homes anyway, with the interest rates being so high. So we've had several hangups through the whole 4 years of trying to get this thing through. And I just want you to know what's going on out there. It's a tough road, and with them coming in, their pricing is going to be obviously way cheaper than mine. So what do I do about that? How do I adjust? I'm at max. I can't go down. I can't borrow any more against it to offset, what we're up against. So, our prices are our prices. It'd just be a different story if what they're trying to do is on the north side of town or away from my subdivision, to where, we set the presence of, this is the price, this is what we're bringing to town, right? And that was one of the big issues with Orange neighborhood, is we had to, they didn't want any lower houses than $300,000, but, obviously we couldn't even get there if we wanted to. So the infrastructure costs were, we had to widen our streets, we had to put roundabouts in, we had to do a lot of different things that cost a lot of extra money. I'm just voicing my opinion, about, the differences between the two neighborhoods. So
I remember that meeting very well. I remember things, every detail was went over with a fine tooth comb. Even the boulevard at the entry to the neighborhood was speculated for many minutes, and it was tough getting in there, and I definitely took notice on how you worked with that the neighborhood. And I know that when developers work with the existing neighborhood, things go a lot better in the end. So I definitely appreciate that. Are you still on phase one of that development?
yeah, I mean, we've only sold 2 lots out there. So
Okay.
actually 3 lots. Yeah, one of the schools, so they could have an access point, so they didn't have to come on Kimball, because it was creating a traffic congestion that everybody has been complaining about. So I don't know when the school's actually going to start on it, but they're actually going to come out onto our road, Paradise Boulevard, and then get onto Kimball. So it alleviates the traffic that's coming off of Kimball, like separates the buses from the general traffic, I guess. So to help that issue out. So
All right.
but
Thank you.
Anyway, thank you.
Yeah.
Mike Henning, 138 Side Hill Drive, Orange Neighborhood Association in Waterloo. And I would like to thank Corey. He's been good to work with. I didn't see he was here, but since he's came on board and stuff, they've raised the road. You can see what's going on. Still needs to get the weeds cut down and stuff like that, make it look like a neighborhood. And sorry, houses are selling slowly, but on to this new proposed area. What area in there is reserved for park and recreation for kids that would move into the area? Because we're concerned, like my wife said, crossing Orange Road, crossing Kibble is nasty. And Lichty Park is a long ways away. I noted in the report, it said those are two public areas around the school for kid recreation and stuff. But that's within the fence of the Waterloo school, and they don't want little kids in there and stuff during school hours and stuff. Is that really a public area? It belongs to the Waterloo school system. So that's not even, doesn't make sense. So what area is dedicated to parks and recreation so kids can play when you get 70 houses, or even the first 2 houses, is my question. Is that the staff or the developer?
Is there green space in this plat?
Lauren Hoffman, Holland Hall Engineers, 1860 Boyson Road, Hiawatha. There currently is no park or green space, or there is green space slated at the northeast corner. However, it's not necessarily intended for, it could be like passive recreation, but there's no like large enough for like active play. There could potentially be a swing set or, play equipment, certainly a sizable enough pad for that. However, I guess in my years of experience, having a neighborhood park the size of Lichty within a quarter mile is well within the reasonable standards for recreation for serving a neighborhood.
I happen to disagree with that point. That is a long ways away out in that area. It's, but also putting a swing set at the corner of Orange and Kimball, both collector roads. Wow, I wouldn't put my kids in that area. There is a red hanging light over that intersection because people been killed at that intersection. So, for what it's worth.
Thank you. Next.
Hello, Judy Sadler, a resident of Orange Township, 6122 Kimball Avenue. I just have a few questions to ask, if that's okay. I just want to point out that the land that is in question right now to be replatted or rezoned, that has not been abandoned land. That has been used land. We have lived in Orange Township for over 40 years. When we first moved there, it was part of the old Orange School, had a football field, had a baseball field, 2 soccer fields, and a track. So there was games out there. Our kids would play games at night after school or during the summer, baseball games. The whole neighborhood was out there. That's where kids learned to go play soccer, play baseball, fly kites. We use it winter and summer. Snowmobile, cross-country ski, all those sorts of things, sledding. So the soccer fields, well, the football field was taken down and the baseball field was taken down. The soccer fields still remain, and 2 soccer fields are still located there. They are used all summer by a high school for practice and by one Bosnian and Latino soccer league. They do games, they do practice. Columbus High does practice there, and they very much appreciate the opportunity to use that space, and they're very respectful of the space. They keep it meticulously groomed for soccer games, soccer practice, and all that, clean up any plastic bags or whatever litter after the games. And for decades, all the residents back there have appreciated the land. That's where we go to walk our dogs, just to reflect on nature. The school system at Orange, they built a wetlands area, and a lot of adults helped, built a deck, and there's lily ponds, there's frogs, there's monarch butterfly. We've planted trees, we've planted flowers, we've maintained trash in the back when some kids go back there and party back in the day. But it's without any public disclosure. We find out after the fact that the city is now proposing to sell all this land for $1 to a private entity, not approaching the landowners. And we all have big lots. We're very fortunate. That's why we all love living there, because we can just go out our back door and take a 1.5 mile walk up to the cemetery, turn around, come back. We don't have to cross any streets. We don't have to use an automobile to drive somewhere to take a walk. And we all appreciate it and respect it, and it means a lot to us. It's kind of the fabric of our neighborhood. It's a gathering place, and we wish, I think many of us would have paid fair market value for however many acres that one could afford, just to keep that from being turned into 70-some houses on 25 acres of land, just to bulldoze it into nothing but much tinier houses. I disagree with the statement that that the proposed additions would blend in with the current neighborhood. It absolutely won't. It just absolutely will not. I have another question, if I'm allowed to ask. Did the city take competitive bids for this project? Did the city do any sort of assessment that actually validates demand for housing of that size or a certain price? I mean, if houses aren't selling, where's the demand? You know, it doesn't make any sense. Why not collaborate rather than compete with Paradise Estates? That's already got infrastructure in place. You're not going to use residential TIF dollars to subsidize that. And it's just a win-win for everybody to collaborate rather than compete, because you'll end up with 2 unused or undeveloped developments for no reason at all.
The city itself doesn't decide these subdivisions. When someone decides to come up with the project, they look if it's a viable decision and if it's worth investing their money into it generally.
Whose money into it?
The developer's money.
I guess I'm not
They have
following
to,
you yet.
they get the lot, they have to build the infrastructure, and then that
Who
costs.
who sold or is proposed to sell the land to the developer for $1?
The city.
The city.
The city.
Okay, how did you come to that decision? And was any other developer offered that deal?
First come, first serve. ain't it?
This is Schrader with staff. The city of Waterloo entered into a development agreement with the developer to sell the property under the terms of the development agreement. That sale went through the public sale process in accordance with the city's sale of property policy.
So residents of that area don't receive that information, or is that available online and we just didn't know?
It's available online.
Did you notify us of that?
Why wasn't Orange Neighborhood
Yeah.
Association
Notified.
like we were supposed to be notified about anything that affects our area?
We got one speaker at a time, but
Well, that was my question.
I'm not aware that sale of property is covered by that, but this area was conveyed from the Waterloo Community Schools to the city of Waterloo when the schools relocated the school. It was always the intention that this would be a development site, always.
Noel Anderson, Community Planning Development Director, if I can jump in. The City of Waterloo has partnered with the Waterloo Schools for the redevelopment of several former school sites, including the Irving School, the former Lincoln School, the former Van Eaton School, and recently the former Edison School site. Upon taking possession of this land, I think it was in 2014 or 2016 when the city acquired this from the Waterloo school system, we noted then that the intention was for infill housing, residential, just like we've done at the other school sites. And we've been working to find a developer, and Skogman approached us a while back to try and figure out the best way to lay this out and to move ahead, and that's the action we're at today.
So they approached you, but no other competitive bids were sought?
We have in the past at times gone out for a request for proposal. Generally, we don't get a whole lot of multiple parties in those, so a lot of times we just go with a viable housing developer.
Through a public sale process, notice in the paper, public hearing before the city council.
Which on notification, in this case, we had a notification policy with Orange Neighborhood Association.
And with the
Why
city.
no notification?
And this site is still owned by the city of Waterloo, so there's been no official process yet to notify for. This is the process where we're starting.
So what,
So it's still for sale to the
yeah, it's still,
neighborhood for a buck?
City of Waterloo City Council will make the decision to move ahead with who to sell it to.
how do we,
Who to sell to. How to sell.
okay. How can
The
we
city
get
of
our name
Waterloo
on
is,
that list?
by the way, the city of Waterloo is prohibited from selling land for $1 without a development agreement that provides the increased taxable value that offsets that value.
Okay, but can the land be sold at fair market value?
Can the land? Yes.
Okay.
Would the city choose to do that is a separate question, because then we're not going to get the tax base off of the 70 new homes.
Why not?
Why not?
Taxes and no infrastructure has to be put in.
Why can't you get the taxes off those houses?
Those houses aren't there.
The 70 houses proposed wouldn't be built if it was sold as parkland.
Okay.
Are there, thank you
would
for
be
your
receiving fair
concerns.
market value for the land, so there would be substantial amount of money.
The city of Waterloo can sell land at fair market value. The city of Waterloo typically does not. The city of Waterloo typically sells land under a development agreement, frequently for $1, based on the increased taxable value to be generated by a development.
And how do you justify that when there's an undeveloped, well, a development that's already has infrastructure 4/10 of a mile away from where you're proposing the development, and the kids won't have to cross a street to get to school at Orange? Just a thought. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak on this agenda item?
Good afternoon. My name is Blair Boynton. I live at 6236 Kimball. I'm kind of at the low end of what the development would be, so I've had a lot of drainage concerns. All the water would be going into my backyard if the plans were not going to work. I know I trust you guys, but my main concerns are the water supply. It doesn't sound like we have a plan. If we're gonna have all of these houses built, the water pressure already is an issue, and we don't have any answers on where that's gonna go. My other issue is the sanitary and the storm sewer. We need reassurance that we're not gonna have sewer back up into our basements. Basically, the people that live on Kimball, again, we're on the lower end, all of these new developments, if the existing development for Paradise, if that were to fill up, and the new one, I need to make sure that that's not gonna happen to all of our neighbors and ourselves. If that's not gonna be an issue, I would like to see the consultant reports regarding both of the storm sewer and the sanitary sewer. We just don't want any more vacant lots like to the north of us. I don't know why we're putting another development in when the one to the north of us has been sitting there, and 3 or 4 lots, did he say, have been sold, and one was to the school. Maybe one will be sold for the water pressure issue. I don't know. The other issue with that is that the city or whomever has not been enforcing the mowing of the grass up there. If you drive by, it looks like I think they mowed it sort of recently. I know other neighbors have complained that they're farming and the weeds have been kicking up seeds into their farmland, and they've had to spend a lot of money to mitigate the weeds and everything in their fields. That being said, we are using the space, neighborhood association. We've been trying to get people up there. The soccer people come every year. They have their tournaments there. Kids are using it. Out of all the public spaces, as far as the parks in Waterloo, there are only 2 south of Highway 20 in Waterloo, 2 additional ones in Evansdale. This is space that we're not going to get back. And I want you guys to consider that. We can put in developments anywhere else, but this is city property right now, and you guys don't, I don't know, the developer doesn't seem to think it's important to add another park. If they're trying to attract people to live there, I'm assuming they're thinking these are gonna be families. Families are gonna wanna park, and Kimball is a busy road, and it's just gonna get busier now. I don't know. I'm worried that we're not gonna get these houses filled just because, according to your guys' website, the city of Waterloo, the median household income is only $48,000 a year, and the average household income is $61,933. And these are gonna be $350,000 houses, plus the increase in the taxes that we all saw. Population growth in Blackhawk County, it's not really going anywhere, and the population growth that we are seeing is not in Waterloo, it's in Cedar Falls, and it's in Hudson. The population in Waterloo has been fairly stagnant for, I believe, the last 30 years. So I don't know why we're thinking that this is gonna bring people into the community when we have a development up the road that shows that it's not. According to Realtor.com today, there are 301 houses for sale currently in Waterloo. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Len Moeller. I live at 320 West Orange Road. And I'm trying to figure out how I can segue in here and still make some sense. I've lived out in Orange for 41 years. I am 70 years old. I spent half of my life on the Waterloo Police Department. Half of that 35 years on the Waterloo Police Department was as a detective, which, as known, a lot of other city guys know, we detectives got called in the middle of the night and go to work and get assigned major cases when somebody's been wronged and try to figure out who did it and why something happened. As soon as this, we went through all of this back in 2018 with Paradise Estates. And now we're on the same side of the fence as Paradise Estates. November 23, the city of Waterloo and Noel and the city council members, they were out there on November 23 with their shovels in the cold, welcoming Corey Hodak and CJ's Construction into the area. They were all out there with their shovels, digging. Thad, you're coming to our neighborhood. We need houses built. And the community, Waterloo's largest housing project in at least 20 years. Back in November 23, they said that. The community needs housing. It's a definite need. There's a lot of people looking for lots to build, and there's just not very many lots, so there should be a demand. Back in November 23, the city's, and here's a picture of the mayor and the city councilman and Corey and his wife and everybody out there welcoming these guys to our neighborhood to build this place where we desperately need new houses. 240 to 250 houses. November 23. 6 months later, June of 24, the other developer, Skogman, and those, they approach a friend of mine. 7 months later, after this big housing development is going to start up, 7 months, they go down to Luke Scarborough, who is the first house on the north side of the Cemetery Drive, of the cemetery that is 163 years old. This same drive's been serving a purpose. That's where the Orange Cemetery was built. They came out and talked to Luke, who used to be a Waterloo cop, and he's a good friend of mine. He says, "You ain't gonna believe what happened today." They came out and talked with Highland Meadows and Skogman. They came out and talked with me, and they want to put an addition out here. They want part of my drive. He's the first house on the north side of the Cemetery Drive. They need some of that because they need to put a sewer something in there, and they want to put a holding pond on the west side of my property. I won't use the exact same language Luke used when he called me up. He says, "I told him to go pound sand. I don't want nothing to do with the development. We got development going over here. I don't want houses behind me. I don't want you tearing up my property. I want nothing to do with this. I don't want you to have nothing to do with this. I don't want any development around me at all." That was 7 months after this big article in the paper welcoming this new Paradise Estates to Waterloo, to all these houses that we need. Fast forward, May 25, about a year and a half after welcoming Paradise Estates, there's another article in the paper. A year and a half after welcoming Paradise Estates. In addition to TIF increments, or TIF, the TIF areas for businesses and industry, we're now going to be doing residential TIFs. And I'm not an expert on this stuff. None of us are experts on this. The developers, they sit there all day long and they sound good and look good and bring all this stuff up here, but we're just a bunch of older people, some retired, some still working, trying to make and present the best image that we can of what's going on. And none of these people is not near the number of people that should be up here today, but people are working and they just can't all be here. So a year and a half later, there's an article in the Courier about residential TIFs are coming. Per Noel Anderson, the city has been working on the option of residential TIFs for a while. Well, back in June of 24, as I just stated, 7 months after the big article about the largest development in Waterloo, 200 plus houses, after this is going up, the other developer, his crystal ball must have really been working good that day, because 7 months after this huge development is going on, they feel it's a good gamble to go up and talk to Luke Scarborough and try to talk this guy into taking money so that they can get an easement on the driveway and behind them. And their crystal ball must have been working really well, because they felt that was a good bet to go talk to him about this. Yeah, I know. The county attorney used to say when I interviewed people, he'd say, go 45 minutes forward to get to the meat of the interview, and then you're going to be good with one of Mueller's interviews. I'm coming up on 5 minutes already.
Yeah, you are.
Can I talk to one of these people? Can I take her space there? And I'll be done in 2 to 3 minutes. The good stuff's coming. I'm going to make it quick. I'm going to skip some stuff here. So the largest project, they went out and tried to get Scarborough to sign off on it. The Orange Cemetery Board, there's 3 of them. Earlier this year, Highland Meadows and the city and them met, and they come together, and the 3 of them signed off to agree to let them put a sewer line in the middle of this, the driveway that's been there before Christ was born for the cemetery. And I went and talked with each one of them, because the question that a lot of us had was, did they have the right to sign off on that? There's the 3 board members, and then there's the association. I went and talked with them, and a funny thing happened. Well, I'm going to back up just a tad. Let's back up to the meeting at the church. I'm going to take another spot. This is good stuff. You're going to enjoy this.
You can't take another spot.
At the church, we learned, Scoldman came out there and showed pictures of this stuff. We went through this whole meeting. Our 1 hour meeting turned into an hour and a half, hour 45. I'm sitting there with my dumb cop thing, and we're all saying, this makes absolutely no sense. 200 feet away is another addition going, and you're going to build right here. What the heck is going on? And at the end of the meeting, towards the end of the meeting, I stood up and said to Mr. Skogman, it says, what am I missing here? We've talked about how you feel this is a good addition, yada, 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 but what kind of agreement do you have with the city if it makes it past you planning and zoning, if it makes it past the city council meetings, the 3 readings? What conversation, something to the effect of what conversation, what arrangement do you have with the city if it makes it past all that? What do you have with the city to purchase this land? What's the agreement? There was no immediate answer. I mean, 5, 10 seconds passed. I looked right at no. I says, no, what conversation has the city had? What agreement is there in case it makes it past planning and zoning and the city council? No, I'll never forget it. He stood up and he wasn't very excited. He said, well, we're going to sell it to him for $1. There you have it, folks. It all makes a lot of sense now. It's going to be a residential TIF. They pay their taxes, whoever builds the house, for 10 years. Half of it goes back to the developer, and so they're getting the ground for free.
As a city, our best interest to keep our books
I know it.
afloat is to grow with the changing
But
legislative
the point
climate.
in all this is, the point,
we
the
have
point in all this
we
is.
have to move on, though. Okay.
I'm getting too long, and I sincerely apologize for that. Sometimes you gotta look, we went through that whole hour, it's supposed to be an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes. If I wouldn't have asked that question, what kind of communication have you had with the city, we would have never found out about the TIF. I went to the 3, and if, I would have never found out about the TIF. Nobody would have. And as a cop's point of view, sometimes it's not what they tell you, it's what they don't tell you. That tells you a lot. I went to the 3 board members of the cemetery. None of them I talked with them individually, 3 old boys. Do you have any idea what they're paying for that land? No, I don't. They're getting it for $1. Really? Yeah. What about Scarborough? Did you guys get paid? No. What?
Yeah, is this a filibuster?
Well, no, this is a bunch of people that have lived in a historical part of Waterloo for a lot of years. And you can hear a lot of stuff about the water and the streets and so forth and so on. But this development is not going to fit, ma'am. It's not going to fit in our area. We got Paradise across the way, so I know where that vote's going right there. But think about the people that you're serving. And I hate it when people try to tell cops how to do their business, but all we're asking is please think about the people. And sometimes this is the way it is in the city. Take care of the ones that are here already. To have one development over here and another one start, that makes absolutely no sense at all.
Yeah,
And I
all right.
apologize for going longer than I should.
You're like twice the time limit. Thank you.
As gently as possible, I know that there's a lot.
If people can't respect
Yeah.
the time limits, we will close the public hearing.
Yeah. As gently as possible, I know that there's a lot of emotion in this room and a lot of anger and a lot of feeling, but and it's getting expressed at this board. This board only has the remit to take a look at the information that we are given, and by the city, by people who come to speak at the podium to give us which a lot of the speakers have today given information. We have been kind to give back information when asked. We're not under any obligation to do so, but we are citizens of this city as well, and we care about it as well, and we know that you care about where you live, so that the questions we can answer, we do try to answer, but we're not a board to be sort of needled into giving information that, comes from other sorts of bodies within the city, like the city council and the mayor and all those other kinds of things, even though a lot of the people up here at this dais know how those things work. We're trying to be kind in giving information that we know, but we're not under, and Cody's a very kind person, but we're not under any obligation to give you a legal education about how this stuff works, to answer all your questions about how all of this came to be. The city is a landowner like any other landowner with a few more restrictions, and it can decide in how to sell property for the most part any way it wants to. It doesn't have to, just like you can't be forced to sell your property to someone you don't want to, or that sort of thing. So please, I ask you kindly to keep in mind what this board does, that it's not the entire city government, that a lot of other parts of the city, and I know that you're upset with the city, so we're receiving a lot of that, but that we will try to answer the questions that we can. Sometimes we're gonna have to say, we don't know, or give you an answer that's unsatisfactory. And sometimes things happen with city government that people aren't, that people don't like. But if you truly want to convince us to change our vote, I don't think that staying up at the podium longer than what you're asked to is probably a good way to go about that. So anyway, ma'am.
My name is Kelly Walters. We moved into Orange approximately 5 years ago. My husband's family farm is on the way to Orange. They are over.
Could we get your address for the
130 West Orange Road. My husband and I had been trying for almost 20 years to buy a house out in Orange because he was raised out there, the school he was raised at, the original Orange. We're 5 generations going to the Orange school between the old and the new one. Family farm is on its way. Okay, like I said, it's a century farm. That whole area my husband was raised in, he wanted to raise his children in. Yeah, it took us a while to get there. But please reconsider this housing addition, because the one that they've already got across from our family farm, which my brother-in-law is paying way too much money to get the weeds and the thistles and the milkweed and all that kind of stuff out of his crops. And the fact that the possum and the raccoon are terrorizing everything on the farm. But reconsider, because they haven't been able to sell anything there. You're talking about houses that are going to be in the same ballpark price-wise. Okay, why would we have 2 open when they're going to be able to do, what, 250 homes in that other addition? It makes no sense. Could you please put it off for another 20, 25, 30 years? I'm not joking, because as of right now, we don't need that also. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Got one more here.
Hi, Gary Sadler, 6122 Kimball Avenue, Waterloo. Highland Meadows. Who picked that name? Why couldn't it be Orange Meadows? The lot sizes, pretty narrow. And you can build a house 5 foot off your lot line in this new addition you're proposing? I disagree. Traffic study. That was done when school was not in. That's what I understand. Hall and Hall claims that they're going to save most of the trees. Well, most of the trees are in the nature area down at the bottom of the hill where the swamp is. That's where most of the trees are. So looks to me as though you guys are going to wipe that area out. I think the school, they claim we can handle it, but the classrooms are going to be crowded. I can see it coming. If all these houses are built, all the lots are bought, and they all have a 1 child or 4, who knows? The deeded property on this new addition, which I'm going to call Orange Meadows, it went to who and why is my question. And, you know, I say if you see something, say something. I don't care who you work for. All the schools that have been knocked down in Waterloo and infilled with new lots. I don't know the total number. We talked about that a little bit the last time we met, Noel. And you said they've all been developed. How many have been sold out of the 250 or 400? Exactly. I'd like to know that answer. Yeah, let's get the infield stuff that's already been developed. You know, you got the infrastructure's there. Let's get the houses up. Get your tax base up. I'd reconsider this addition at this time. Thanks.
Thank you.
I'm Melanie Lorenz, 124 West Orange Road. I've got some pictures of the land here that I took. If you just want to spread out, would you mind? You guys can just look at it. They're a lot better pictures than what I was seeing up there. Because Hall and Hall was talking about how it's infill and they want to lessen sprawl, but I just want to show you that this is not just some empty field. This is, the proposed addition is on a beautiful green space. It's kind of beautiful green space since the school has come down, that the residents of Orange and the larger community utilize. I live across the street from the proposed addition space. It's a beautiful space, and every day I spend a lot of time outside in the front yard with my toddler, and we see so many people walking there, dog walking, people riding bikes. A lot of people in our neighborhood now have small type utility vehicles that they drive in there for fun. Not to mention, we heard about the sledding and the soccer fields. So it definitely is a utilized space. It's like a second neighborhood park for us. And there's also, the trees are also home to lots of owls and birds. It's so fun to go out in the evening and hear all the owls out there. Living out in Orange is a bit like country living, but with neighbors. We are south of town, away from the hustle and bustle. We're surrounded by cornfields, and we all have these large, wonderful lots that we've talked about. They're all like a half acre large. We have mature trees, gardens, plenty of room to breathe, and we really enjoy our community green spaces, such as the old school site. And the information on this new addition says the proposed rezone area would not appear to have negative impact on the surrounding neighborhood and land use, but I think you can hear that we all pretty much disagree with that. Whoever wrote that clearly doesn't live in Orange or hasn't spent much time there, because we definitely utilize this beautiful green space. The addition really encroaches on our homes, our neighborhood, and our green space. Not only does it remove recreational space, but as you've heard, the entire project doesn't fit our neighborhood profile, and I'm referring to the very small lot sizes. We all have very big, the houses proposed directly across the street from me, the lot sizes are 0.23 acres, 0.17, 0.16, and 0.23. So I would be looking across the street right at like 4 houses, it's like stacked in a row, or maybe even somebody's fence, I don't know. It's not very inviting. So, as a side note, he was talking about how it took like a year to get this thing rolling with the easements. Like they said, they had approached neighbors who actually lived there, and the neighbors said no thank you, and then so they went to the Orange Cemetery Association. None of those people live in the area, probably don't really even sure what it looks like. So, and they said yes, and that's how they got approval, just to make that clear. And so that's why I just want to say, please reconsider this addition for the sake of the neighbors and the sake of people who live in that neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else in the council chambers that would like to speak on this agenda item?
Hi, my name is Garland Angove. I live at 144 Windsor Drive in Waterloo. I work for Mr. Anderson in the afternoons, and being a business person, thinking about the city, and obviously they make a lot of different decisions other than a business-like decision, but as a business person, I would be thinking you would make it available to any other qualified developers if it were to go through. Sitting next to Corey Hodap here, and he knew nothing about it, and he is a qualified developer. So anyway, that's and I would say develop what's already there with Paradise Estates, and then if when it does fill, reconsider it at that time. Thank you.
Thank you. And let's see here, we got one more coming up.
My name's Barb Ginther. I live at 6131 Kimball Avenue. I was not going to talk tonight. My family, my husband and I have lived in Orange for over 36 years. We bought out there because we did not want to live in Waterloo, where you can open your window and see right into the neighbor's window. We like where we live. We live across the street from where this development is going. Granted, there are neighbors in between us and the development. We were never given any information. We had no idea about this. When a neighbor across the street shared information with me, I contacted the city and I talked with Noel, and this goes back to like January of '24. I told him I wanted to be kept abreast. I wanted all the paperwork that the others were getting. I know for a fact that not only I did not get it, many people along the road where I live did not receive it. Many people further north of Orange Road did not receive this information. There are a lot of us who had no idea. The only thing I have here is a map that I was given at the meeting at the South Waterloo Church of the Brethren the other night. That is the only paperwork I have outside of what I grabbed here. I was told by Noel that I would be kept abreast. He was given my email, he was given my address, my phone number. I have received nothing. And if they think that this is not going to affect my home, my property, they're wrong. We have 7 grandchildren that like to play in the area. Our house is fairly close to the road as it is. We try to keep them outside, but it's like herding cats sometimes. You can't always keep them in the backyard. Sometimes they want to be up front. I just would request, I know they've recently changed an area of Kimball Avenue to 25 mile per hour, but nobody addresses that, nobody follows it, except those of us who live there. We have had dump trucks when they were working on the addition to the north of the school. We had dump trucks that were going 40, 50 miles an hour through Orange. And there's kids that play. There's kids that cross the road. I cross the road to get my mail, as do many others in the area. I am not trying to stop any progress, but look into it. We've got this other area that needs to be developed right now. Outside of the days after the meeting at the South Waterloo Church of the Brethren, that area was looking very shambly. It was, the weeds were this high, and it did not look good. After our meeting, I'm sure the city contacted them because they were out there the very next day when I drove into Waterloo. They were working and clearing some of the weeds. They were cutting, weed whacking, what have you. We appreciate that it's done, but I hope it's not going to be not done again until next year, because if I did that with my yard, I can guarantee you I would be getting a notice from the city. And it's not fair to any of us that live out there, that take pride in our homes. So I would just like the council, and I appreciate your time. I appreciate you listening to us. But consider this when you're making your decision, because you are the ones making the decision for the city. This does affect a larger community than the few people that live directly along Orange, where this is going to be, and along Kimball, where this is going to be. There are many others further north of Orange and also across Kimball who did not get these letters, did not get this information, were not aware of this, and we don't get the firsthand information. So I appreciate your time, but I would like to be put back on the mailing list, which I've never been on. So I've requested that many times, and I would like to be, as would, I'm sure, many of my other neighbors who are not on it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike Henning, 138 Side Hill Drive, down in Orange. 2 quick things. One is this lady's got me really concerned. I work with Noel and some of the others, and we put together a communication agreement to keep the Orange residents in the Orange Neighborhood Association from the site of Amesboro to Highway 21 to South Waterloo city limits up to the bridges, informed of anything that might affect Orange Neighborhood Association. I'm not the current chairman of that, but apparently that communication has been ignored by the city, because it sounds like a lot of people have not been getting notified on what the hell is going on. That's very concerning. I'll go dig that thing out, and I'll make damn sure that Brittany knows about it, and I'll go talk to the mayor. We'll go from there on that topic. Another topic that's been talked about has been the school system. And I volunteered in the new school since before it was actually opened up, working with the principal, Terry Trask and company, and we volunteer basically weekly and even, anyway, whole lot of volunteering in that school since 2013 when it opened. And that school started out, about 2/3 full, whatever. It was nice. We had classrooms to do things like Lego League and other stuff. The last 2 years, every classroom is used for classes. Every classroom, the last 2 years. And now we're gonna throw 70 houses and a whole bunch of other. Pretty tough, but I know the school rearranges schools and all that stuff. That stuff takes place, but that place is bulging at the seams.
Mike, we're supposed to speak one time per person.
He caught you.
Yeah.
You're supposed to speak one time per person, not a second time.
Yeah.
Should have told me that before I started talking.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ari.
Maybe on nights like this, we need to have like a.
Well, that's patience here.
Sorry, I'll keep this short. I know it's getting long. My name, Hunter Skogman, 417 First Avenue. So just a couple things. We are phasing this thing in slowly, so it's going to be between 15 and 20 lots per phase. So we're not building all 70 houses at the same time. I just want to make sure that's clear. And the second thing is, this is no disrespect to any other developer or builder, but we've built over 100 houses in Waterloo. And I think if you look at the areas we've developed in Cedar Falls and Waterloo over the past 25 years, they're all well-maintained. People want to live in them. It's a destination for people. They're great neighborhoods. So I think we've done a good job if you look at our track record here. And if you have any questions, I'll answer them. Thanks.
Thank you.
You should stand your sign up here on your new house in Paradise Estates instead of laying in the grass.
Our sign? Yeah, it's not ours.
All right. Our neighbor posted on Facebook, it's laying on the ground.
All right, Lauren Hoffman, 1860 Boyson Road, Hiawatha. Just up here a second time, just to kind of do some clarification on a few things that came up. First, on neighborhood correspondence, there were some items, action items that came up at the neighborhood meeting, and those reports and the follow-up on those action items were sent to Brittany, the president of the HOA. So if there's some other communication that we need to be aware of, please let us know. But we were under the understanding that she was disseminating that information out to the group.
It is not an HOA.
All right, I'm sorry, neighborhood. Sorry. Hey, yeah, sure. There was also comment about the trees. Yes, maybe I misled anybody by saying that we were going to save all the trees. It's not possible. There are some trees kind of in the center where there's some steep slopes where the former school had, they had 2 stories on one side, 1 story on the other. Yeah, there's a cluster of scrub trees, I'd call them, for the most part. Yes, there's a few with some desirables, but for the most part, the smaller trees, those will have to come down. But the trees that we're preserving or making efforts to are along the perimeter where these neighbors would have properties that would be in close proximity. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't see anyone coming to speak on this item. I think we'll go ahead and entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved, do not.
Second Ewing.
All those in favor of closing the public hearing signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, so now this is the part where we come together and figure out what we're going to do here.
Yeah, this is the classic, in law school you learn about the classic problems of people living near each other and the classic problems of property and how property ownership works. And sometimes, you get to know a piece of property for...
Don't worry,
okay.
We'll get to Noel after.
Okay. You get to know a piece of property and feel some ownership over it when you don't have legal ownership. You spend time there, you do things there legally, unless you have some kind of easement or lease agreement or other agreement. Basically what you're doing is trespassing, and nobody's doing anything about the trespassing. So I do understand all the emotions in the room, and I do understand how people feel ownership and love for a piece of property that they really don't have any legal title to. And all of the stuff that's in this booklet that we get, although the words that people hear seem to make them think there will be no impact to property, These are very, very technical words with very, very technical definitions from ordinances and from just textbooks and how city planning and planning in general is done. And this is a very technical book and a very technical, each one of these words in here kind of stands for a paragraph of, a litany of things that go with that thing. And it's not really plain English because it means so many other things, the way that the definitions are written in ordinances and so on and so forth. Sometimes when you have property ownership, you own your little piece of property and you don't have control over what happens to the property around you. And that's just how property ownership in our country generally works, unless there are local laws, against it. And unfortunately, sometimes we get used to our place of living being one way for 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 years, and suddenly it's another way. And we're never going to agree about what is best, what is right, what is best for the city, what is best for this association, what is best for the people in North Waterloo, what is best for the whole city, what is best for the people. We're never going to agree. We can probably never get to agreement, but that's why we have city government systems and city government voting, and that's how we push through the things that we don't agree on, and sometimes the things that we want to happen, and sometimes they don't, and we just go on as a city. So I have heard and listened to and feel everything that everybody said in this room tonight, and taken it into account, and we all have, even though sometimes it's hard for us to listen and sometimes it comes at us with a lot of force. We do listen, we do hear you.
Noel? Thank you, Janelle.
Sorry, just a couple questions that were asked. I just wanted to get the answers to the commission. Noel Anderson, Community Planning Development Director. The Waterloo Waterworks General Manager said we could be out to bid this fall as soon as we finalize our site selection, which we're working on, and it will not take long to complete once started. So yes, it could be started this fall and done in 2026. The school district representative noted that they do not have any concerns with students being generated for Orange School there. As you know, some of the students that would be there now may be gone by the time the new students would come in with new families and all that. So it's a cycle. And then I'm apologies to anyone that didn't get notified. I know that my staff, he's not here today, that is in charge of it. I texted him. He said he did send out the notification to the neighborhood association contact. If there's anyone else that specifically wants us to email them directly, please send that to the planning office, and we'll be able to do that to you. Normally we send those through the neighborhood association. And then if anyone has any questions on residential TIFs, I'm more than happy to explain it to you if you really want to sit through that. Someone noted that the populations of Hudson and Cedar Falls are going up faster than Waterloo, and they are using residential TIFs, so we are working to compete with them to get building here instead of there. Thank you.
Thank you. I think back on my time as community development chair, I'll have to reach back. I still work. I remember working with them and have contacts, but that's where our neighborhood services and whatnot, they're under that umbrella, so I can also kind of make sure that all the gears in the city are kind of churning, working together. We definitely want people to be informed. This particular item reminds me of the last meeting that I missed a few years ago, where we had a proposal for a coffee shop, and now there's like 3 or 4 of them there, and you look and you go, holy moly, right? Do we need that much coffee in one block? And this is a little bit more serious, so bear with me. When we look at stuff, at least when I look at stuff, I look at it and I go, is it safe? In this case, yes, this is 100% safe, and it's well within all the guidelines. Is it practical? I'm not 100% sold on that, and that's my remark and discussion on this as you vote. So is there any other, between us as commissioners, does anyone have any other thoughts, questions, comments? I want to make sure that we get this right.
I definitely heard everybody here tonight, and things are never perfect. There's no perfect plan, but I have heard the concerns tonight.
Okay.
Yeah, and this is do not. I want to agree with, especially Commissioner Ewing's earlier comment, not the comment that you just made, but the earlier one. I want to agree with that, and I also want to say I'm kind of undecided on this issue because I understand both positions. I understand how it's laid out in item number 4 under the staff recommendation in the packet, but I also understand what the people are saying in the audience. So I understand both, and I don't know how I'm going to vote until I vote.
All right. We'll go ahead and I'll entertain a motion on the item. And just so you know, I'll probably do a roll call vote.
Yeah, that sounds like one that would be a roll call vote. Do you want me to read the motion and we can discuss?
Yeah.
Because we have to have a motion.
And it is for when get them reading it for the rezone and just
And the second, and
the preliminary plat.
And the
It's
preliminary
pretty
plat.
much otherwise the same, so you don't have
Yep.
to reread it.
Yeah, yep. Okay. I think I'm on the correct page, page 31. Correct? Okay.
Yes. Yep.
All right. I move that the City of Waterloo rezone approximately 24.27 acres from R1 1 and 2 Family Residence District to R1 RP Planned Residence District to construct 70 homes located south of Orange Road and west of Kimball Avenue be approved for the following reasons. 1, the request would not appear to have a negative impact on the surrounding area as it would qualify as infill development by going on a site with existing infrastructure and place on borders. And I pause there and I say that negative impact doesn't mean zero change. That's one of those technical things that I was talking about here. Everything every day is changed. The request will create new infill lots in a developed part of the city, as this is a former school site. The request is in conformance with the comprehensive plan and future land use map, which shows this area as low-density residential. The request is in conformance with the 2020 vision plan, which emphasizes new housing opportunities and development in the city of Waterloo. Skogman Homes has been a leading home builder in Waterloo for a number of years in terms of units being built. At over $300,000 per home anticipated, this represents a $21 million plus investment in the community to work and help grow the tax base, add to the population, and grow Waterloo as a community in close proximity to a newer school for additional students as well. And the motion is both for the rezoning R1 to R1 1 and 2 family residence, R2 R1 RP, as well as the plat, as well as to plat the, and that's what we need in the motion, right?
Yep.
Okay. And subject to the following conditions. I just wanted to go back and make sure I got everything in the motion. That the property be limited to single-family homes, that the final site plan meets all applicable city codes, regulations, etc., including but not limited to parking, landscaping, drainage, etc. Thus endeth the motion. Now beginneth the discussion.
Well, we gotta get a second.
Oh, yeah.
Is there a second?
Wait, I'll second it.
Thank you. Okay, discussion. I think we had a lot of it.
We did.
Okay.
We did.
Well, hearing no discussion, I'm gonna go through a roll call vote then. Commissioner Ewing.
Aye.
Aye. Commissioner Voigt.
Aye.
Aye. Commissioner, is that Shirk?
Burke, yeah.
Aye.
Okay. Commissioner Leistick, wow, they really butchered my name on this. Commissioner Leistico, I'm gonna vote. I'm actually gonna vote with the people on this one and vote nay. Commissioner Schaefer.
Aye.
Aye. Commissioner Do Not.
No.
We got
All of them, right?
4-2 in favor. Motion carries.
This is just a recommendation.
And it's
We'll
just the
go
first
on
part
to
of the
city
process.
council.
Yep.
I recommend that that if you want to be further involved in the process, you should. But there's, a big difference between what you would like as far as, notification, those things, and what the law prescribes. So, maybe the association can pull some funds together for a property attorney. Maybe the association can pull some funds together to walk you through how this process works and where you may be able to have more of an effect on that process. So this is just a step, and educate yourselves and learn about city government, and I think our city will be better for that.
All right, thank you. We've got one item. We've got one item left. It is a request by VJ Engineering on behalf of Three Stooges LLC for the final plat of the Martin Road subdivision, a 3-lot commercial subdivision in the M2 P Planned Industrial District located at 1330 to 1350 Martin Road.
This is Tamala with staff. The applicant is requesting to approve the final plat of Martin Road subdivision, a 3-lot industrial subdivision.
I'm sorry, could we just pause on that, maybe? I just want to be able to hear staff.
Oh, I mean, yeah, they should keep going, but let's pause on the staff so they.
Yeah, I just want to be able, from the audience, to be able to hear staff.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. The request would not appear to have negative impact on the surrounding neighborhood. The proposed final plat would not appear to have a negative impact upon vehicular and pedestrian traffic conditions in the area, as the area being platted is already developed. Sergeant Road Trail is located along Sergeant Road US Highway 63.2 miles to the southeast. The area of the proposed plat is zoned M2P, and has been zoned as such, and has been being rezoned from A1 on May 3rd, 2004. Industrial development between 1981 and 2023. The property is located with a 100-year floodplain. However, all 3 buildings were built to meet floodplain requirements by being 1 foot above the base flood elevations. There is a 8-inch sanitary sewer line on Martin Road and overhead electric along the east side of the road. Future land use map designates as industrial, and the plat conforms to that. The applicant is requesting the final plat of Martin Road. All 3 buildings were built to meet floodplain requirements. There are no tracks showing, and no additional infrastructure is required for the plat. The final plat includes the following items: legal description, property lines, dimensions, date, adjoining subdivision, deed of dedication, engineer's certificate of survey, easements, proper lot sequence. Since this is already a planned district and the subdivision is already built, building dimensions are not required. Final plat meets subdivision ordinance code. Therefore, staff recommends that the request by VJ Engineering on behalf of Three Stooges LLC for the final plat of Martin Road subdivision, a 3-lot industrial subdivision in the M2P Planned Industrial District located at 1330, 1350 Martin Road, be approved for the following reasons. The plat would not have a negative impact on the surrounding area. The plat would not have a negative impact on traffic conditions. The plat meets the requirements of the subdivision code. Any questions for staff?
This one's been going through for a while here. There's no surprises out of this one. Any questions? No. Is the applicant on? No. I'll entertain a motion on the item.
So this is Commissioner Duna. I move that we adopt the staff recommendation according to what is in the packet to, on behalf of Three Stooges LLC for the final plat of Martin Road subdivision. Am I reading the right one? Okay. Sublot industrial subdivision in the M2 planned industrial district at 1330 to 1350 Martin Road be approved for the following reasons as outlined. The plat should not have a negative impact on the surrounding area. The plat should not have a negative impact on traffic conditions in the area, and the plat meets the requirements of the subdivision ordinance.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor of approving the agenda item signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, any discussion? Anything else here? I've got 2 items actually, because we're here. Why is our revenue only at 56%?
Sorry.
I mean, I asked for the report, of course I'm gonna read it.
This is Schrader with staff. Yes, so we did, at the request of the chair, we did include the budget report, which covers through the end of the fiscal year. So yeah, it does show revenue at 56%. So we were pretty significantly.
Well, there's a weird line in there, I'm asking about it. The other part shows at 97%, and another one throws it in there, so we'll have to ask what that one line is about.
Okay.
But we were also under on expenses, so.
Yeah, I seen that part. I was like, good job, 91%. So, no, that's good. Well, budget oversight is good. And then the other item I had is November. That meeting, I believe, will be November 12th. And with November 11th being Veterans Day, I just wanted to make sure that there would be no conflict with the city council meeting or anything on that Tuesday.
Oh, because the meeting, the city council meeting is usually on the Monday?
Yeah, it's usually on a Monday, and then if it was their week to have it, would it get pushed? Okay, so we won't have any conflict then, okay.
It'd be November 11th is the Tuesday.
Oh, okay, so it'll be the 11th. Oh.
Yeah, but there's no council meeting.
November 11th is a holiday, so
Veterans Day.
I just want to make sure we get ahead of that because y'all's getting the day off, I'm assuming, right? Yeah, okay. So we might want to look ahead on that one. Other than that, motion to adjourn?
Can we have the meeting on the first Tuesday at all? Or is that because of the council meeting? That would be
Schrader with staff, we can look at that. It might be a possibility. No, we moved them from the first Tuesday to the second Tuesday to help avoid holidays. I mean, we moved it for a couple of different reasons.
yeah.
But one of the main ones was to avoid holidays.
And I'm trying to avoid the
Well,
holiday.
that worked real well.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone motioning to adjourn?
So moved, Shirk.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? Thank you. Thank you for your patience.